Well, hello there. It is Drew Badger here, the English Fluency Guide, and I am outside at a park today. It's harder to find places to shoot video inside because of coronavirus, but out at the park, it's actually not that bad. It's a nice day, actually, here. I'm sitting under a cherry blossom tree, but it's a little bit late in the season for that. Anyway, I recorded a video with my daughter. That was the last video, I believe, that's on my channel, but people were asking me questions about how can they teach their kids at home and when they should start teaching their kids English. So I wanted to make a quick video about that, and we'll see if this is an interesting conversation you want to have. I can answer your questions in the comments below, so let me know about that. But anyway, I thought I would just give a quick video about that, and let me know if you'd like to know more about this topic. Often people don't realize it, and I want you to think about this, especially if you don't have any kids right now. The principles for learning as an adult learner, if you want to teach yourself English or learn, this is the same way I teach, or if you're a teacher out there, there's really no difference between teaching an adult and teaching a child English if you follow the same principles about learning like a native or teaching like a native, the way that I teach. Forgive me if you hear some kids screaming at the park over here. But again, the principles are the same, and so I'll talk a little bit about that. But first, I was having an interesting conversation with a friend of mine who is from Canada out here, and he is also married to a Japanese woman, so my wife is Japanese. But he and I were talking about our own kids. So we each have two children. I have two daughters, and he has a daughter and a son. And when I was asking him what he was doing for teaching his own kids, because he and I actually used to teach together in the classroom many years ago, he actually didn't teach his younger or his older daughter English for, I think, maybe the first 2 years that she was born, or right after she was born. So the first 2 years she was alive, I should say, with the family, they weren't really teaching her English. They would kind of speak it sometimes, but they weren't really using English at home. And he notices even now, of course, they speak English all the time, and that her pronunciation is still a little bit off. But his son, they started teaching him English from the day he was born. And little kids, even from, I believe, 6 months old, can tell the difference between what language you're speaking. So as a parent, you can be speaking to them in English or Japanese, as the case is in our home, or whatever the languages are. But children are very good at noticing the differences between those, and they understand a lot, even if they can't express themselves very well. So thinking about this idea, when people are asking me when they should start teaching their kids, I say as soon as possible. So from very early age. And also, some people argue that maybe the father or the mother should only speak their language, whatever that is, or the couple or the parents. I believe you should be using both of the languages, however you use them in an everyday conversation, just because you want your child to understand what's normal, and your child will this is kind of an interesting side thing, but most kids in America, if they have some kind of breakfast cereal, they will have maybe put some milk on that cereal as well. But if you give to a young child cereal with cranberry juice or something like that, they will learn to eat that and assume that's normal. So whatever the child believes is their kind of normal speaking situation, if everybody is using both languages and you can switch between the two very easily, then the child will learn to do that as well without there being any problem. Now, this is especially true in a language like Japanese, where there's kind of more of like what a man would say in Japanese and more what a woman would say. So if I'm not using any Japanese in the house, then my daughters wouldn't get that same kind of different language that a man or a woman would be using if only my wife was speaking to them. Hopefully we're not getting too much wind in the microphone here. But anyway, thinking about that idea, again, the best time to start teaching them is as soon as possible. So you don't have to wait for them to be a certain age. And again, the point is to make it normal for them to be speaking English. Now, I know another thing that people worry about is if they make mistakes. So even my own wife, whose English is really very good, she'll worry about saying something incorrectly and then teaching that to our daughter. Usually, she'll make the occasional mistake in the same way that I'll make a mistake in Japanese, but we have a culture in the house of kind of making mistakes and helping correct each other as we learn something. So I don't apologize about my making mistakes, and I don't have her say anything like that either, but we do learn something. So if I say, oh, you shouldn't say that, or she tells me, oh, you shouldn't say that other thing, the children are learning at the same time. So if you have that kind of culture, and whether, one of you in your family is a native English speaker or not, it doesn't really matter, because you can still get those same examples of what's correct from just watching TV shows and things like that. And what I do recommend is, especially if you or your partner or whatever, your husband or wife is not a native speaker, that you should be watching more programming, especially TV shows or movies, things like that, specifically for native English speaking children. It's a little bit different, especially watching TV shows out here in Japan. We will sometimes watch English TV shows that are specifically designed to teach kids English. But this is more for Japanese kids, and there is a lot of Japanese in the TV show itself. So it's a little bit trickier when you're trying to teach someone a language, but you're using the other language to teach that. So a native English show like Sesame Street, this is designed for native English speakers, and children are going to get this kind of all the things that they're learning in English without having to translate anything. So hopefully this is not confusing, but the basic idea is that you don't have to wait until any certain time. You want to make it easy and make it normal, and especially if they're making mistakes, that kind of thing, you want to also show the child it's normal to correct those mistakes. So it's normal to make the mistakes, and it's normal to correct them. And you can look and see what you're getting from various TV shows, and then take that and then just practice using those same kind of sentences. So if you're speaking along with the TV, then your child will do the same thing, and it becomes very natural, and it's fun, and you don't have to worry about trying to make it like a lesson or something like that. So it should be informal and fun, the same way you're using your own language when you're walking around the house. Now, one last tip I'll give you, again, I said earlier in the video about when you're trying to teach people, you should be using the same principles or the same way of teaching that you would teach a child in your native language that you would teach an adult, or that you would learn yourself as a learner of a second language. So for the students I teach, I don't teach them like through their native language. So I don't teach Japanese out here to, or teach English to Japanese speakers through Japanese. I use English to teach them English. And a very simple way you do that with children, especially if you're trying to teach them in a different language, is to make sure there's an obvious connection between the vocabulary and the thing you want them to understand. So I've talked about this in videos before, but as an example, if you're in a regular English classroom and you show a flashcard to someone, let's say I'm showing a picture of like a clown, and he's like juggling some balls or something, and standing and doing some dancing or something like that. So that's one flashcard. Now, if I say a word to a child or a non-native speaker about what that is, oh no, somebody's in trouble. Well, that's what you get when you record in the park, but it is a nice park. Oh no. Well, I hope they're okay. They look okay. I think they just lost their toy, I think. But anyway, so as an example, you're looking at something that's complex. The mind doesn't really understand what you're specifically talking about if I just say the word blah. So this is a word in a different language, and I'm showing you a fairly complex idea. You don't know if I'm talking about the clown or what the clown is doing, or if it's a verb or a noun or whatever the thing is. So you want to make very obvious connections between the vocabulary and the thing that you're talking about. So if you're talking about colors, for instance, you wouldn't just teach a color by itself. You don't hold up like a red crayon and say red. You would have a few different other crayons, or you would have a few different other objects that are also red that you can teach that the same color or whatever that thing is you want to teach. So that's one basic example, but you should be thinking about that same kind of thing. The test is whether it's understandable in English or not. So remember that as you're going out to teach kids and using a very basic idea of something like contrast. So this is like black and white. So we understand darkness by noticing light, or we understand cold by understanding heat. So we learn both of these at the same time rather than just trying to teach just one of them. So this is the reason I teach that to natives or to non-natives as well. Really, I teach the same way to everyone because I don't want them to think about English as a second language. Typically in a classroom, you will learn English through a different language, and that's why so many people have to hesitate and think and translate, and they get nervous. They forget their words when they speak. So if you don't want to have those problems, you have to learn all in English the natural native way. So that's exactly what I help people do. And if you have not seen any of the videos on my channel, I've got over 500 of them with lots of examples about how to do this for vocabulary or grammar or pronunciation, all of things like that. Now, specifically for kids, if you're looking for a great way to help them learn, I recommend Frederick. This is the app that it took us 10 years to develop and build this thing, and we're still working on it right now. But it's the best way to use contrast to teach the sounds of English, whether you're trying to teach this to young children or you're trying to teach adults with it as well. You can click on the link in the description or in the upper right of this video if you'd like to learn more about that app. But it's really working wonders, so a lot of people are enjoying it. It's great for kids as well as adults who want to improve their pronunciation and learn more about reading and spelling, that kind of thing. But the app, more than just for what it does, you can see how it's teaching you. So it's letting people connect different ideas and make comparisons and contrasts with different sounds so that they can actually teach themselves the rules all in English without having to use any kind of translations or anything like that. Well, again, this was just a very quick overview. I wanted to talk about, again, when you should be kind of teaching people, especially young children. You don't have to wait. Don't worry about making mistakes. Make a culture of the kind of effort. That's the more important thing. So if you're really trying to encourage your children to learn, don't make a big deal about mistakes. Just say, oh, maybe that wasn't correct, but we should use this thing instead. Make sure you have native examples of that from a TV show if you don't have a native English speaker in your family. Anyway, I hope you have enjoyed this. If you have, please click that like button and subscribe, then click the bell icon so you can get notified about future videos. If you have specific questions about this, let me know. Just post them down in the comments and I'll check those out. Let me know if you have any questions about like how to help kids, or if you have any specific questions about even older children and how you want to help them learn. Again, most of the ideas are pretty similar no matter who you're teaching. It's all about making it natural and fun, and all in English. Anyway, hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, again, click that like button. And if you'd like to continue learning with the English Fluency Guide, please do these 3 simple things right now. 1. Click on this link to subscribe to my YouTube channel for over 500 free videos. 2. Click on this link to download my #1 ebook guide to fast fluency free. And 3. Click here to watch the most popular video on English fluency here on YouTube.